Trying again.
Katie sent back the same stream key.
We're
Oh, did
we're
it work?
back.
Are we live?
We're
Oh, it
back.
just took restarting OBS.
Lovely.
Cool, that was awesome.
That took us what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, the internet, a flawed human concept. A dissertation by yours truly. Accompanied by Humanity, a terminal condition, also written by me.
That was fun.
All right.
I
Made
think
it
Forrest,
back.
you were in the middle of a point about
I was
Hazel
saying something. I was talking about
and how they set up like Emerald super early on, and
right. I was okay. Well, just picking up where we left off, I guess.
That's kind of how this goes.
yep.
I was saying so. I think the we had a lot of setup over the years of this happening. I think my problem with this scene is that all that setup means I was kind of expecting a bigger payoff at the end of it, and I feel like we're still gonna get some of that as sort of this mutiny. At when we pull Cinder into this mutiny, because that's gonna happen. But
Right.
I need more payoff for all of this setup of Emerald finally, like, trying to. I mean, is it so much that she's cutting ties with Cinder? No, not really. She's just really kind of cutting ties with Salem. It's more the Cinder Emerald stuff that we need to see. But she was still working for, Goopy Whale Lady for a while. Like
Yeah.
and Hazel is not exactly the nicest, we've seen a different side of him, I think, this season, but previously he's been kind of a, he just, a very like a blank wall kind of character who doesn't really tell you what he's thinking. And so for her to just, sure, all right, cool, it just like it feels a little lacking. Like there's just not, there wasn't even an argument. There wasn't like a, what are we doing? What's the plan? I'm totally for turning on Goopy Whale Lady, but is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Just like some declaration of development, change, awakening, something would have done the trick. But follow me just doesn't cut it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little lacking in payoff. I agree. So, yeah, basically, as we know, Neo is in the room, and of course she winds up stealing the lamp.
She can turn into wall color.
Yup.
She doesn't just copy people. She can copy textures. Anything.
Yeah. So, Ren is masking and tracking at the same time, but is depleting his aura real fast.
And Jean's aura too.
Yeah, depleting Jean's aura too, because Jean is supplying him with all this extra aura, but it just wrung Jean dry. And then after having his aura depleted, Jean is like, "I'ma go scout ahead," because that's a great idea.
Yes, you most vulnerable member of the party.
Now that I'm all out of magic juice and have absolutely no way to defend against attacks other than this shield, I guess, I'm gonna go put myself in harm's way.
that sounds about like Jean, let's be honest.
So, basically, yeah, so, he does that, and Yang cracks a joke, and Ren is like, "Hey, you don't need to do that. I know you're scared. It's okay to be scared." And Yang is like, "Wait, really? Cool! I didn't know it was okay to be scared." So,
I mean, it's kind of her thing,
Yeah.
I get that. That's kind of, she does the boisterous, like, I'm gonna fight everything kind of,
Mhm.
the tough gal attitude kind of thing that she does. I can
Mhm.
kind of see that.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just making fun of it. I'm not. It wasn't a problem.
I, I do think that Jean running off like that was just so that they could have that moment.
Oh yeah, no,
But
100%.
it's
Yeah, that.
cool.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Didn't
it
bother me.
wasn't like the dumbest thing Jean's done, so I guess it's okay.
It's like you're supposed to be the
Rocket lockers.
tactician, John.
I mean, has he ever
Um,
fulfilled that role adequately? No.
I don't know if that's true.
Sometimes,
He's
sometimes
fulfilled that role adequately sometimes.
Okay, but
in
it's
the
for
heat
like
of the
fleeting
moment.
moments.
Yeah. Um. So then, um, surprise, surprise, Jean comes running back because guess what? He can't confront anything
Yeah.
right now. And yeah, it turns out. Also, I mean, they just don't want to be found out. But yeah, he comes running back because runs into a seer, and
The
he's
goopy
like, Ren.
jellyfish things.
Yeah, he's like, Ren, mask us, and Ren's like, all right, I'll just do that. And then they try real hard, but Ren's aura depletes, and then the seer finds them, and it's no bueno.
Yeah.
So then Salem and quote unquote, or sorry, Hazel, or Emerald and quote unquote Hazel are walking down the hall. They meet up with Salem, and Salem starts questioning quote unquote Hazel about how things went with Oscar, and then the seer screeches, and Salem's like, "Oh shit, people in my house," and goes and runs off
Yeah.
to
Well,
beat
she
up the
like
people in her house.
I don't know if run is the right verb there. She does. She
No.
moves in
Mhm.
some manner. I don't think it's running. She
No,
Yeah.
she does more like a
flies.
yeah, she more like screaming floats like a banshee, perhaps more in keeping
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
her witch-esque
Well, see.
theme.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very important to keep with her aesthetic. I mean, people can't find out that Salem does not, in fact, have legs.
Yeah, that's.
Much less actually have to use them. Good grief.
do, do you think it's just like a cloud of gas under there, or does she have like
I think she's got
Ursula
like
tentacles, or what's going on?
I think she's got rocket boosters underneath there.
That's definitely what's going on.
That's how she does like
Just
the
one
flight thing
rocket
so
booster.
quickly. Like I said, rocket boosters plural, like one for each supposed leg, maybe a third for balancing purposes.
Third for balance.
Uh,
Yes. Have you
so
ever tried balancing on three
And
rocket
we actually have
boosters?
a good guess from somebody in the audience. Rollerblades. Excellent
Oh,
idea.
I
know.
love the image of Salem rollerblading across Killy Willy.
She's just really into exercise, and she's got to get her rollerblading in.
Oh
That's
man.
funny.
Uh,
Now we need a skate off episode between Salem and the Rainbow Cat Girl.
mm-hmm.
I
So we
mean,
got somebody. Of
that
course she
presumes that
has
she
legs.
survives
How else
this
did she
episode.
and Ozma? Of course she has legs. How else did she and Ozma have 4 kids? I hate to break it to you, Emma Anderson. You don't need legs to have kids.
Sorry, man.
The important part there.
Yeah. I would ask people about that because you really don't need legs.
um.
I do want to say on this scene, I really love uh Hazel's like body language in
Yeah.
this. He's like stiff as a board, arms by his sides, like I am Hazel. What do you mean?
I am
It's
Hazel.
pretty funny.
Who says I'm not? Who told you?
I mean, his entire body language is, I am going to beat the shit out of the next person who asks me a stupid question.
Yeah.
And then, people ask stupid questions, and he's like, just get the fuck out of here.
uh. So yeah. So Jean, Ren, and Yang then come face to face with Emerald and quote unquote Hazel. But quickly discovers, oh, Actually, it's not Hazel. It's Oscar.
Yep.
And
Ta-da!
which Emerald's gotten pretty good at her semblance, because not only could she do 3 mines at a time, she also managed to fool Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
that's
something
true.
that I questioned somewhat because I've always thought that Salem has almost had like omniscience in this domain. Almost. Not entirely, but almost. And that with her level of skill, she might have like figured that out. But I was kind of glad that she was on that she can fall for an illusion if done well enough. Like that's good to know, but like I questioned it.
I'm sorry. Somebody in chat says Hazel's the Avatar.
Look, if you haven't figured that out by now after this episode, I don't know what to tell you, man.
You're not wrong.
Master of all 4 elements.
Um, well, yeah, and like ones like lightning. Yeah, sure.
Close enough. Look, gravity isn't really an element. This,
Oh, look, fam, I don't
Uh,
question it. He's willing to put them in his freaking arms.
that is one of the better like he just stabs himself with like element crystals. That's just a good design. I don't care what anybody says.
So yeah, then immediately, obviously, they turn to Emerald and they're like, yo, why should we trust you? You kind of like were involved with helping kill our friend and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And Emerald and Jean is, or not Jean, Ren is actually the one who comes to her defense. He's like, well, cause she's scared. She like all trembly shit.
Yeah, this is one of those
Just
where
like
it's like,
us.
Ren, shut up. That is not how you
mean,
determine where someone is your ally or not.
whether they're feeling the same emotion as you are.
Yeah, and then Emerald is like, also, I know how to get out of here. And they're like, cool, that's useful.
And then they all just kind of run off. Like, this is another of those moments where it's like, is that
like
that's
that's
it?
it?
That's all. This is a character they've been fighting for like 5 seasons. I don't know how many seasons. A lot of seasons.
Well, like 4.5 ish
I think-
seasons, yeah.
Here's where I think here's where my main issue here's what my main issue boils down to with Emerald throughout this, right? It's kind of what you were talking about earlier, Forrest, about like how it's been built up so much that we were kind of expecting a bigger payoff, and it was and here's where I think things got minimized. First and foremost, Emerald's decision to leave, while she had been thinking about that for a long period of time, Emerald's decision to leave was not of her own volition. Hazel was just like, you're leaving now. And she was like, oh, all right. Right? It wasn't it was kind of like it took somebody to be like, you need to leave, for her to be like, oh, okay, rather than her really sitting on it, thinking on it, and deciding for herself, no, this is something I need to do, right? And I would have liked to see her escape the whale of her own volition, then kind of figure out like, how do I what do I do now, right? And because like I will go back to, I think, one of my favorite redemption arcs in all of animation. We got to talk about Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, right?
How could we not?
Where like Zuko makes the decision of his own free will, of his own volition, right? And then he's kind of adrift, and he's like, what do I what do I do? What do I do with myself? And he decides that what he needs to do is he needs to try to go help Aang master firebending and beat his father, right? And there's like multiple episodes of Zuko actively trying to earn the trust of Team Avatar.
There's that rather hilarious and I think famous scene where he's just like trying to like work on his intro. Hi, I'm Zuko. I know I've been chasing you a while, but I really want to teach you firebending. No, that'd never work.
Yeah.
It's great. But yeah, that whole like half of that entire season is like, do we really trust him? Like,
Yeah, and so like Emerald, I understand that they are under pressure, right? I understand that they're like, okay, we have Oscar, we need to get out of here. And I understand the logic of, you know, Yang and Ren and Jean being like, sure, if she wants to leave with us, why not? We're headed out anyways. We can deal with her at a later time. Like, I understand the logic of that. I don't think that any of the characters did anything that was necessarily out of character, but it really minimized what Emerald leaving, I think, could have been, or dare I say, even should have been, especially since they have been, as we talked about, been building up to Emerald defecting for years.
And honestly, I think it's the latter. And I would honestly be more than happy to debate anybody who said otherwise. Because you know what? I was looking forward to Emerald's and perhaps even Mercury's declaration of their own independence, of their own growth, and saying, no, this is, we don't, like, we may not necessarily like the world out there, but it's better than the world that you're promising us. Fuck you, Salem. Or something. And to have it just kind of glossed over at a time where it would have been the perfect moment to tout that sort of uh, growth, I guess I'll use that word again, just seems wasted. I mean, maybe they will address it later, but the moment to declare one's purpose and allegiance seems to have passed. And
Yeah.
that Emerald to do so later, for Mercury to do so later, will seem hollow unless they are absolutely able to nail that landing. And despite all the great things we've had this season, I am not confident that they will stick it.
Yeah.
yeah, I think. I mean, my thing on this is like, right. Emerald is a character who's done some bad things to our crew here, right? There's the whole Penny death fiasco, you know,
Penny,
that with
Pyrrha,
Penny, you know. I
she's
mean,
partially responsible for in some capacity.
yeah, so Jean's definitely got, but like not especially directly in that sense, but like Yang, right? Sure, her beef is probably more with Mercury, who tricked her into, oh, I don't know, being expelled from the tournament that one
Yeah.
time. But Emerald was definitely a part of that. She was, you know, causing the illusion to happen that tricked her. So, you know, some amount of, hey, why would I trust you? I don't think would have been out of place here. Indeed, right? It seems to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you know I could just be projecting, but this kind of sounds like okay. We the writers know that a mutiny is happening, right? Hazel has come around, and you know, credit where credit's due. I think they've done the best job with him in sort of like building out his reason for defecting.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know, Emerald is just like she walks. She overheard that conversation. She walks into the room. Okay, we know as the writers that she's part of the mutiny now. You know, we know what she knows. Okay, cool. Everybody just rolls with it. She's part of the mutiny now. And then she comes up to these guys, you know, Jean and crew, and it's like, okay, hey guys, I'm defecting. I'm part of the mutiny crew, and they're like, all right, cool. But they don't know. The writers know that. We, the audience, know that. But the characters don't know that.
Yeah.
They don't know that she's turned on Salem. As far as they know, she's still like a part of the evil whale crew. And then she's just like, okay, let's go. And they're like, I guess we're following her now. Is she on our side? Don't know. Cool. All right. Like
I do
it's
hope.
like we haven't seen, we the audience know, the characters don't know that, right?
I do hope
Yeah.
that gets addressed after they get off the whale. I'm just not sure if I'm going to enjoy it as much as I
Yeah.
would have if they'd done it in the whale when their lives would have been in more danger.
Yeah, I mean, and like with regard to, just I mean, I think I've mentioned it before, right? It's uh like when you are writing a complex story like this, it can sometimes be really easy to lose track of what information characters have or do not have, right? And it can be really easy to fall into that trap of like, oh, well, this character, because you as the writer knows something, you forget that a particular character doesn't know something. And then you write as if they do know it, but in reality that's never been established.
Or
And
even you don't. It's not like you forget. It's just like to you it seems like, oh yeah, that character definitely knows that thing, but like
Mhm.
you didn't really show that.
Yeah.
Like it feels like they should know that thing, but that's not really evidenced in the writing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we've all stated exactly how we feel on how Emerald was handled this episode
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
to
that
yeah.
great
but that
length.
that bring but that does bring our conversation about Emerald to a close. Um in other news, Winter is gonna nuke Killy Willy.
Not Emerald, General Winter over here, commanding
Yup.
troops.
Yup. And Marrow confronts Winter and he's like, yo, you just gonna like nuke the thing when people are in there? Like what if that was your sister in there, huh? Like how are you gonna tell your sister that you've killed her friends? Like, could you do that? And Winter's like, yes, Marrow. Yes, I can do that because that's my fucking job.
This is
Yeah,
just one of those points where Marrow's empathy and his value on the lives of his allies just gets the better of him. I understand why. It's just a part of who he is. That doesn't mean he's right, and Winters has every right to tell him that yes, she would do it because you know what? Anybody else in her position would.
Yeah,
Uh,
like, and I don't really know, like, I don't know exactly what the purpose of these scenes with Marrow were. Like, I can't tell if they're setting him up to be like the idealistic one who's just like really not on board with what the Atlas military is doing. But honestly, the military, well, I mean, we talked about it earlier, like the Atlas military putting the students into the line of fire in a do or die situation like this, not the worst idea in the world. Going and nuking the Killy Willy, even if there are people already in there, also not
nuke's
the worst
gonna
thing in
be
the world.
nuked.
Like, yeah, they
Like,
they knew this. They agreed to this. They were given a window, right? They knew the risks. So like, I I can't help but feel like they're trying. I could be wrong because I'm not entirely sure what they're trying to do here, but I feel like they're trying to set Marrow up as like the moral one,
I
and
think
everybody else is doing things that are morally in the wrong. But I kind of feel like everything Winter is doing is justified.
it's totally justified. My question is more to the wonder of is are they trying to set up Marrow as an entirely altruistic character who is having to accept that some of these choices might be made? I think it's mostly because he has a personal connection to several of these because he was the
Mhm.
one of the most welcoming for like Team RWBY and their companions. That was just he was the
Mhm.
most empathetic, the most welcoming, and he doesn't want to see them die. And I get the feeling he would feel the same way for most any of the troops if he knew they were in there too. It's just that it's I believe that's just like one of his flaws that he's just not he's been allowed to be altruistic to a certain degree and it's time for brass taxes now, and he's just gonna have to deal with it. If they're trying to
Yeah,
set it up as like, oh well, the Atlas military is wrong for doing these things, they are doing him a disservice.
I
Yeah.
hope it's not that. I see. To me, in these scenes, he comes across as just very naive,
Yeah.
right? Which is
Yeah.
sort of how they've played him this whole season, right? Like that scene with Winter. As much as I had problems with the Emerald scene from before, this scene was great.
Oh yeah,
As
I
short
agree.
as it was, because he's like, "Would you do the same thing if it was your sister in the whale?" And there's this pained expression on Winter's face, and then she clears it and turns to him and says, "Yes, yes, I would, and that's what we're going
Mhm.
to do." Like, she would feel terrible about blowing up Jean and friends in the whale, but she's gonna do it anyways because if she doesn't, the city's gonna be destroyed.
Yep.
Right? Like, this is what Marrow is not. So, like, he just comes across as like, but we have to save every single. It's like, but you can't.
Yeah.
That's not an option. Our option here is maybe we kill a few friends that we know, or everybody dies. Neither of those are good options, but one is like you have to make a choice at some point. So like, Winter comes across as this like she's still emotionally connected, but she's like, okay, the time for that is I will feel bad about blowing up some of my sister's friends
Yeah.
later. This is what we have to do, as
Yeah.
terrible as it is. And he's just like, well, I don't know what to do.
Well,
So
Winter very much came off like in that moment as like, you could see her really think long and hard about what it would mean to like blow up her sister in the whale, right? But then, like you said, that emotion cleared, but like it really kind of came off to me as like the thought process in her head was like, yeah, I would hate that. Like I would feel like utter shit, but I would do it. I would suck it up. I would do it, and then once the battle is over and we've won, I would go home and cry. But for now we're fighting, and I'm not going to cry until we're done fighting. You,
so
you
his
know.
his comment is like, just like, hey, wouldn't you feel bad about that? Like, he's assuming that she wouldn't, and her expression is like, yeah, you don't even know. You don't
Yeah.
even know how much that would hurt me, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if I think it's you may be right, Brian, that they're kind of trying to set him up as like, the Atlas military is doing some bad things, and he's the only one who sees it, and he's like gonna be that spark that dethrones Ironwood here, because clearly that that there's another mutiny coming in this season, or at least it'll start in this season. I don't know. I hope they're not doing that. I hope that it's more like
I hope so
his
too.
naivety is gonna get him killed or something. Like he's gonna cross paths with Ironwood and be like, hey, you can't do these things. These are bad. And Ironwood's just gonna blow him away or something. And then they're gonna be like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
is Ironwood bad? Are we? Hmm.
Yeah, I don't
I would
know. Like
respect it
I,
more
I
if
mean
they blew him away at the end of the
that's
season or
why I say
something.
I don't know. That's why I say I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're trying to set him up as the moral one here, or if uh they're just simply trying to paint a picture of the difficult decisions that are having to be made, and he's a good foil for that, I guess. Like I don't know exactly what it is,
I get
but
the impression that that's kind of that he's playing the foil to Winter's character development here.
Mhm.
Is kind of the sense I get, because I think they're building her up as the leader of the mutiny against Ironwood, and they just have to get her there.
Yo, I'm so down for Headmaster Winter.
That would be pretty
Headmistress.
awesome. Yeah, that's headmistress to you,
As we learned from Harry Potter, it's
my mistake. My
headmistress.
mistake. Headmistress. You're right. You're right. You're right.
but she's
Headmistress
still
Winter.
Sir.
Yes.
Oh yeah, always.
Hmm.
Um,
But
so
yeah.
yeah, there's not much else to be said on the matter, I think.
Yeah, so basically moving on from that, uh Salem arrives to stop the kids' escape.
They're almost there too. They almost made it. They were just about to leave.
And then a fight happens.
And
I mean,
Oscar,
it's a
fighting
pretty big
stretchy
fight.
arm lady.
Yeah, and then Oscar's like, "Oh no, I gotta use some magic." And then Salem's like, "Oh no, you don't." And then she restrains them with her goopy arms.
Well,
and then she,
even before goopy arm, there's a part of the scene. Yang does her new trick, right, with the time detonator, like the triggered. Yeah. She like plants bombs on stuff and then blows it up later. And Salem just splats. Like she just
Oh yeah.
There's this like frozen explosion of goopy innards that's like the nastiest thing we've seen. And then she like knits herself back to get. There's a lot of like body horror stuff going on with her this season or this episode, really.
Yeah,
she's like, pain, I give no fucks.
Death,
come
at me.
Well, I think her main problem is it hasn't been coming for her. It's been avoiding her like a bad ex.
Yeah.
So, Salem restrains them all, and she's like, "Yo, Emerald, what'd you do with the lamp?" And she's like, "I didn't do nothing with the lamp." And Salem's like, "You fucking liar! I know you took that lamp!"
Cough, cough, it's Neo.
I will menace you with my glowing purple orb.
Yep.
That is probably just like pure pain in a sphere. I don't really know.
Yeah. No, for sure.
It's what is that forbidden spell from Harry Potter that's supposed to do like cause
Crucio.
Yeah, Crucio. That's what she's doing.
Yeah. It's Crucio in a orb.
Yes.
Pain in a box. Then she goes and starts talking with Oscar. She's like, "Yo, why do you keep coming back though?" And then Yang is like, "Yo, but why do you keep coming back? I blew your bitch face up." And she's like, you just hurt everybody, man. You caused so much pain and death. And Salem's like, "Bitch, what you talking about? Who'd I take from you?" And Yang's like, "You took my mom." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I did do that, huh?"
I kill so many people. It's really hard to keep track.
So she says her again. Like,
Yeah.
has that come up in a conversation before?
Yeah,
I don't think it
RWBY.
has.
Yeah, with RWBY.
When was that conversation? Because I'm spacing it right now.
That was
when they were
last
in
season.
Ironwood's office, and
actually,
Salem
was that
announces.
last season? No, that was last season.
Yeah, that was last season. Salem announces that Killy Willy is on. This is before we knew she was riding on a giant sky whale.
Yeah.
And she like intimidates. This is when she like kicks off Ironwood's descent into fear and madness, right? Well, more so. But she gives RWBY a vision of Summer Rose, right?
Yeah.
Well,
either that or I don't know if it was Salem giving her a vision of Summer Rose or if she was just thinking. I don't know. It wasn't really explained well.
It was dream sequency, whatever.
Yeah.
That seems to indicate to me that now Salem knows that Yang and RWBY are sisters. If she did not know or did not care to know before, she may know now.
And yeah, probably. I don't.
What relevance?
I don't know if that's like
portrays,
super relevant to her, but
I don't know. Maybe that might become more relevant later. But like, it's a thing. It's something I noticed.
Ooh, I just had a thought.
Oh.
She doesn't like RWBY because, the whole Silver Eyes thing. She doesn't probably think of RWBY as much of a threat. I mean, she's just a little kid, like, doesn't even know how to use her powers that well. Like, what's her face? Oh, God. Grim Reaper lady. The, Maria.
Oh, Maria, yeah.
Yeah, Maria was probably more of a threat to her in her eyes than, like, RWBY is. But,
yeah.
She now has a piece to use against RWBY. She has RWBY's sister, who presumably RWBY cares a lot about.
Well, she might have had a piece, but they currently seem to have escaped the whale for now.
Yeah.
And if things go according to plan, she will have other issues to deal with. unless she's willing to throw out the baby out with the bathwater and go after Oscar.
Yeah, and so
Fair enough, but she now has an angle at
RWBY,
manipulating
potentially.
RWBY in another way.
Which is
Yeah.
mostly what I was getting at. But yeah, that's kind of the point.
So then Hazel arrives, and he's like, "Hey, Salem, I got the pizza. Whoa, what's going on in here?"
Got the
And-
fucking pizza. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
And Salem's like, "Oh yeah, I caught some rats, and also, Emerald is being a little bitch. It's defecting. It's no good. Gonna need to teach her a lesson." And Hazel's like, "Oh, neat. All right, cool. I'm gonna go. I'll just go take Oscar back to his cell real quick. Just leave you to it."
Nonchalant,
And this,
totally casual.
Don't mind this cane in
Yeah.
the pocket. I'm gonna.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna slip that into his hand. Don't mind me. It's
Yeah,
just a pouch full of crystals. Don't worry about it.
And then he clocks her.
Yeah, so he gives the cane back to Oscar, and then says, "No more Gretchens, boy," and then just fucking decks Salem right in her face.
I mean, Dex implies he puts her ass on the ground. He sadly does not.
No,
I thought
Tornadoes.
that first. I thought that. Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
It's later that he puts her ass on the ground, but not
yeah.
quite there.
Yeah. So, Hazel attacks Salem to buy time for the kids to escape, and
he
the kids
becomes the
run off.
Avatar.
Yeah, he becomes
Yes.
the Avatar, and the kids run off, including Emerald. But Oscar decides to stay behind to fight because he's like, she's just gonna follow us.
Which is fair. I don't
Yeah.
think Hazel's making it out of this.
No, I
episode
think
alive.
we're gonna lose. I think we're gonna lose Hazel.
I mean, that was fairly self-evident. Like, if that was not entirely obvious, it is now.
So then Oscar starts to use his big boy magic against Salem because now he's got his cane again. And that is where the episode ends.
Well, there's a couple of so in their fight, Hazel starts just beating the goop out of her at some point. Like he lands a good attack, and he's just like, I don't know if it's blood or grim goop or a mixture of the two, but it's like I said, the body horror has been taken to 11 in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he gets her onto the ground and he just punches her face like 3 times, and you just see a blood splatter, like bloody wings coming out from the side of her head, left side then the right side, then right on the back. It's just ugh.
And
But it's
when
really
she
well
gets
done.
back up, like her face is missing and just kind of grows back in. There's some nasty stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't hurt, or I mean maybe it hurts her, but doesn't kill her obviously. And then at the very end, and I think this is apt because of the name of the episode, right? This is the symbolism I was talking about what seems like hours ago. He like finally manages to get the upper hand in the fight, kind of grabs Salem, and then he like uses a fire crystal to set them both on fire.
Yeah.
Which is and he's kind of like holding her up aloft, which is very pyre like. If we're talking about witch, she's a witch.
Oh.
Right? And what do you do with
yeah.
witches? You burn them at the stake. He's essentially become the stake.
Isn't Hazel also like a type of wood? I believe.
Hazel is also a type of tree, wood, yeah. I don't know if that's the type of tree used in witch
probably
burning,
not, but also like
I think
it just
I have a sneaking suspicion that the type of wood did not matter.
No,
they were just gonna burn a fucking witch.
No, if you're gonna burn the
fair
witch,
enough.
it doesn't really matter. Also, that's a really good movie, Burn the Witch. Really good if you've already seen Bleach.
There's a fair amount of like superstition and they might have had a specific wood, I don't know, but yeah. So we got this pillar, this like pyre burning kind of thing. I also want to point out, right? this is something I don't know. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but Hazel, right, is his sister's name, just Gretchen
Uh-huh.
or whatever. Yeah, Gretchen, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Hazel and Gretchen, Hansel and Gretel,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's been
right?
the
Yeah.
thing
That's
for a
sort
long
of his myth.
time. Yeah.
But what is the story of Hansel and Gretel? It's two kids that follow a trail of breadcrumbs or candy or whatever to a witch's house, who then cooks and eats them. Right? They get led into the witch's house and eaten by the witch. Right?
And
But
they are
here
inside a giant whale.
they are inside a giant whale, and he's now essentially going to sacrifice himself to destroy a witch
Or try
Yeah.
and
or
fail.
die trying. I'm just saying, I think we could have seen his defection coming a lot sooner than we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of the fact that we have a lot of characters that are incomplete pairings. We have Cinderella without her prince. We have, um, what is it? Hansel without Gretel. Um, Watts like Tyrion is
Without
the
Sherlock.
scorpion without the frog. Watts is he um Watson without his Sherlock, or is he the
Or is he
reverse?
Sherlock without Watson? I think
Yeah,
he might be Sherlock without
I
Watson.
think he might be Sherlock without Watson.
Because Watson is the human grounding to Sherlock's, maddening, obsessive,
Yeah. So
detectiving.
so with them we've seen these incomplete fairy tales that have always been missing like their other half for whatever reason. Um, Cinder killed her supposed prince in her teacher.
Yeah.
We don't know what's
Yeah?
up with Tyrion. We don't know what's up with Watts.
Yeah, he's just a scorpion. That's
Tyrion was just like a madman from the start, as was the scorpion and the frog. But Hansel and but like Hazel and Gretchen are like he Gretchen was taken by Salem,
Yeah.
and now he's finally getting some redemption for that, and that's nice.
Isn't the implication that it was Ozpin who got his sister? I think that's why, like, he had a beef with Ozpin. I always thought because it was that
Well,
she was probably one of the students.
Gretchen died in the service of Ozpin.
Yeah, fighting Salem,
Fighting
Yeah.
presumably.
Salem, which is why he sides with Salem because you're like you can't beat her, or so he believes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're sacrificing
Yeah.
children to
Yeah.
fight
And
something you can't defeat.
which is why he sides against Ozpin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What was the main point of this question? I seem to have lost that in my train of thought.
I don't know.
uh,
just general symbolism things, and it was good. This was a good,
This was a I would give it a higher grade with if Emerald had gone more
yeah.
Oh,
had gone better.
I just mean
I
this
would
scene, but
this scene
Yeah.
was actually this scene itself was amazing. Period.
and then time powers at the end or something.
I
We don't
Here's
actually
the thing.
know
Does he
what.
We don't
like
know. We
freeze
saw
time?
the last time we saw Ozpin do this was when he was fighting Cinder.
Yeah, and we also got a similarly truncated fight scene in that scene.
Yep.
The question is
So
like
we
Maybe
don't
this time we
actually
get
know what
more.
he does.
we're about to find out, I believe.
I
Yeah.
hope so. Like, the man lives in a clock. He's got to have time powers, right? Maybe he like resets the day. Maybe I don't know what.
He's probably just gonna like freeze time in a localized area.
That'd be pretty lame, but yeah, I guess that's probably the more likely
Yeah.
than
Although
not.
although I will point out that even despite this power, Cinder somehow killed him.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's probably because
Yeah.
his semblance takes a great deal of energy to perform. Stopping time is an exceptionally powerful ability. Imagine
I
what you
don't
could
think
do if you could do that at a snap of your fingers.
I don't think he has a semblance. I think he's just magic.
Well, even if it is magic, it is time magic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we'll
even
see.
with that, still very hard to perform.
Well, I think it's prediction time.
Um, Wood burns, Hazel dies.
All right.
What, Hazel Burn, yes.
Yeah. Hazel burns. Yeah. All right. Forrest.
I mean, I think it'd be really cool if we just had, if Ozpin resets time and we just have this episode again. Only they are sneakier, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
That seems unlikely.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get some Cinder again next episode.
Yep, that seems
Um,
That
likely.
seems about time.
probably some Team RWBY.
Do you think
Yeah,
we're gonna get?
maybe.
Do you think we're gonna get Neo trying to like find somebody to ask Jin, to say Jin's name so that she
Oh
can
my
That
choose
God.
would be
someone?
really funny.
Just like a Neo walking around, like holding her scroll with notepad function, like say this question, please.
I want a Ruby Chibi episode of that. Can we? Can we get that? That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I wonder how she is going to sneak out. I mean, actually, she is kind of like a chameleon and can look like pretty much anything, so it
She
shouldn't be hard for her. But I wonder
she's a
how she's
better
going to do it.
chameleon than the chameleon girl.
Wow, actually, you're right.
It's true.
Hard truths.
Hard truth, my
Uh,
friend.
all right. Well,
Battle
guys,
scene. Battle
I
scene's my
think
prediction.
battle scene. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that wraps up our podcast.
I think it's us.
We
I
survived
think
an episode without Katie.
we did. We did.
How did we do this?
We found a way. We found a way. Well,
Two
thank you guys
episodes,
so
technically.
much for tuning in. We will be back next week, same time, hopefully without a weird interruption in the middle.
Yeah, let's
Um,
hope not.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. To talk about the next episode and see how things transpire. Once again, I am Brian. You can find me on Twitter at Hubbard Audio. I'm also in the RWBY Discord server at Hubbard Audio. Ian, where can they find you?
Also at the RWBY Discord server at Venthris, I am an admin. If you're having any issues, I'm the person to talk to.
Forrest, where can they find you?
I'll be right here next week to talk about Ruby. Until
Hell
then, I will cease to
yeah.
exist.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye!